Member from the opposition.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise on a topic that is very dear to my heart.
Caleb Brathwaite. Just for the record, Caleb Brathwaite, you now have the floor.
More time.
2 seconds. Continue.
Good afternoon again. Mr. Speaker, I rise on a topic that is very dear to my heart, that of educational reform. And we as a society must recognize that the time is right for educational reform, and we must not let it pass. Mr. Speaker, on the onset, I want it to be known. I left secondary school with 6 CXCs. I then went to BCC and obtained an associate degree in law, as well as government and political studies. I'm currently in my final year to obtain a bachelor's degree in law. And not once has the height of my hair or the style in which I wear it affected my learning ability. And people within the educational sector must understand that. Why must I cut my hair to learn? It must not go on. And I was forced to cut my hair. Not once. We must become emancipated from mental slavery and rid ourselves from that colonial mindset. Mr. Speaker, the opposition proposes that diagnostic testing be administered at the reception level because we must see if a child is suffering from dyspraxia, dyslexia, ADHD, and is at that critical juncture, we must test for that. The opposition also seeks to propose that soft and social skill teaching be done from first to second form, because that research shows is at this preteen level where a child undergoes many physical and cognitive changes that you want to instill such traits. And let it be known that soft and social skill teaching is only done at the St. George Secondary School, and it must be widespread. Mr. Speaker, to effectively, and I stress on effectively, reform the educational system within Barbados, the combinations exam should go. It should not remain. But the opposition do not make such statements lightly, and in that respect, the alternative would be building on the current criteria reference tests in place and implementing a 3-year assessment period started in Class 2, ending in Class 4, in which students will undergo a series of tests, testing academia, testing vocational subjects, as well as testing physical subjects, as the opposition recognizes we must harness the talent of young people. Mr. Speaker, the opposition also thought it necessary that in terms of testing a child's physical abilities so that we can make more outstanding citizens like Shade Williams, Garfield Sobers. And to that extent, government must move full steam ahead and apply these changes. The rationale behind the thinking of the opposition is not to get rid of a test. You understand that tests are throughout life. What we are saying is to get rid of a test that is done once and seek to determine a child's future. We must reimagine secondary school education in this country. And to that extent, backed by the results of the criteria reference tests, that would help with the allocation to secondary school. Mr. Speaker, the current allocation to secondary school is not the entire problem, because the opposition recognizes that not everyone can learn at the same pace. We understand that. Mr. Speaker, I, for one, in primary school, at my primary school, there's 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, and 4-4. I was not in 4-1. I wasn't even in 4-2. I was in 4-3, and it was because at that level, I was learning at a different pace to others, and look where I am today. Mr. Speaker, it therefore comes down to an all-society approach, getting rid of the stigmatization on where you go or where you went to school. It can no longer happen in this country. The opposition recognizes that it's not...
Order, the member is still making his statement. Continue.
The opposition recognizes that it's not an overnight approach, but he can who tries. Mr. Speaker, let it be known this is not to signal the opposition's support for the current structure and curriculum in place in schools today, because subjects that are taught in depth, like physics and biology, should not happen until the 4th form. Why should I be learning something that is so in depth? Practical teaching should be done. And only when a child seeks to interest in specialize in that particular area should more in-depth teaching. Can you tell me, Mr. Speaker, that you have ever applied y equals mx plus c doing day-to-day things? No. Mr. Speaker, I also seek to propose that the VART questionnaire, which stands for the Visual, oral and read and write and kinesthetic guide to learning preferences be administered upon each child entering secondary school so that the educator has a comprehensive analysis of the learning style of that student. The opposition also calls for the current dismantling, destruction, getting rid of the disciplinary regime in schools today, and which this resolution has not touched on. Where is the reform for the disciplinary procedures in school? Where is it? How on earth could you as a principal seek to send home a child who acts out in school? Do you think that is the best way to deal with that child? Or what they do, sir, is tell them come to school and put them into school suspension, give them letters to care about the school, and learn nothing of substance that day. Make it make sense. The opposition proposes that guidance counselors be increased to 2 in each secondary school and have 1 in each primary school, along with implementing a behavior intervention plan made up of best practices. The opposition also called for the formation of primary and secondary student councils. Youth inclusion is much talked about in this country and little to be seen. Students shall have a voice at the table. We get up on TV and we hear the ministers say, oh, they have consulted all the stakeholders, and the decision that it will ultimately affect the students, nothing is said to them. I have not been consulted. Have you been consulted, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, in closing, I want my honorable friends to know that we must aim for our educational system to be good, better, and the best within this modern world. And be assured, this opposition won't rest until such goes. I am obliged to you.
Thank you, member of the opposition.